Hi folks, now that I'm all suited up, we are ready to take the lime binder and mix it with our Hempcrete. Now before we start doing that, I want to talk about lime binders very briefly because they're composed of at least two parts. The first part is a hydrited lime, and the second part is a pozzolanic mineral or set of minerals that work to create a cementitious set quickly so that construction can continue. Today we are using a metakaolin, and we are using 3 parts hydrated lime, which is a dolomitic lime, and 2 parts metakaolin. So it's basically a 60-40. So I've pre-mixed them together using simply a paint stirrer and a high quality drill. Again, this is essential at this point in the process. So now that I mix them together, I simply spread that around. And I mix the 2 dry ingredients together until they are fully mixed. So, this is now mixed and it is ready for water to be added. Now, the reason that I do it this way when I'm hand mixing is that I like to make sure that every Hempcrete piece is coated in lime, so covered in lime. And once I'm working with this quantity, working by hand, and once you add the water, it gets a little heavy. So it's better to do all the mixing with the lightweight materials before it starts working your body a little bit harder. So here we go. Now, remember I'm using 4 buckets of Hempcrete, 1 bucket of our lime binder, and 1 bucket of water. And I'm not putting all of it in at once. I'm putting a little bit over half, and I'm starting. Now you notice I still have all my protective gear on because I'm still having pieces of the little tiny pieces of lime come up. You want to make sure to get to the very bottom because you want to make sure it's all mixed together. And you'll sometimes notice that the bottom has a little shiny sheen to it because of course the water goes to the bottom. So that's why you have to mix it. I'm going to keep mixing, and when I come back, it will all be finished mixing. But what I noticed is that the Hempcrete is not yet binding the way that I really want it to. I learned a great trick from Alex Sparrow at UK Hempcrete, and I'm going to share it with you. So what you do is you take some Hempcrete, get it in your hand, and then compress it till it makes a nice, small snowball. Just like that. So far, so good, but here's the real test. Now you kind of press that with your finger, bump it a little bit, and it should make a couple nice divisions. Instead, what happened is it crumbled. It needs a little bit more water. Something to keep in mind at this stage, a little water goes a long way. So just add a little bit, mix it up really well, and then try again. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so now I've added a little bit of water, and I've mixed it thoroughly, and I wanted to show you something. So, important to know, depending on how you're using your Hempcrete and how much you're making, you're going to have different systems. This is a very small-scale system. I use this system in my lab, but for a construction site, I would use, ideally, a pan mixer, okay? So, I'll show you the first tool, but I'm going to show you this tool. This one allows you to get all the way to the very bottom and bring up material that is right up against the bottom edge. Very handy. Now I'll take some of that material from the very bottom and make my new form. Just making a simple snowball, nice and compact as you possibly can. Ah, that is much better. We're ready to go.
And speaking of ready to go, now that we have lime that is wet, we no longer need to have the respirator. Now, another good practice would be to go ahead and keep on some sort of nose protection just in case there's a pocket of dry powder throughout the building process or the applying process.